and the Polish pipe bomb, Jeff Orlowski.
How's the headbanging coming?
Welcome to Wisconsin Sports Sunday.
All right. Game Don will chill us along with the Professor Dan Underberg, the Polish pipe bomb. Jeff Orlowski is in the house as well as we get through the next couple of hours in the midst of this Labor Day weekend. Hopefully, he says 5 times fast, you get an opportunity to rest and relax a little bit as we make our way through. Got a ton of, obviously, to talk about with regards to the Packers, some Badger talk, the money train. The money train will make his debut on Wisconsin Sports Sunday later on in this. We will be filling in tomorrow for Drew and KB in the afternoon. And the money train will reappear because we've got college football tomorrow night. So TA will join us a little bit later this hour. Hunter Baumgart is going to join us in hour number 2 as we get to talk some Brewer baseball, who are back to their winning ways once they went north of the border. A ton happening yesterday in college football. We'll address that, as well as closing life out with the book of Pipe Bomb. Before we get into all of that, a couple of things. And on his anniversary for the party that took place last week at Dugout 54, well attended, great turnout, great times had by all. And Pipe Bomb, I'm just going to say it this way. Now that we are in the midst of celebrating Tim Allen at the 20-year mark, it's got to be like Harley.
Yeah, why not? Why not? It was a hell of a time, and thank you for coming down there. Big thanks to all the people that showed up, man. It was so much fun, and it was great because the celebration isn't about us, about Tim. It's more about us meeting the people and putting names to faces, the callers, the texters, and all that. Had a bunch of legendary callers. Justin flew in from North Carolina. Marshall was there. A lot. Beer Count Kenny. There was a lot of
Kenny, I love it.
A lot of legendary callers that were there as well. It was a hell of a lot of fun.
And not only was that part of the celebration, and it's hard to be celebratory when we were talking about, in essence, celebrating the life of Bob Uecker last week in the midst of that home game. But to have a sold-out AmFam field, to have, so for anybody who comes into our neck of the woods and thinks that this town cannot support 2 major events at the same time, Professor, I think we did a nice job last week of proving them wrong, because the attendance for both events was beyond belief, and the IndyCar race was spectacular. Obviously, we wish we would have had a Brewer win last week, but the celebration of life for Bob Uecker was as good as anticipated. It was a fun Sunday to just be a part of what was taking place in southeastern Wisconsin.
Yeah, there was a lot of energy downtown, reaching out. And again, I think the buzz of the weekend was the Uecker Memorial. I think so many people were talking about that, but kind of a little lost in that celebration was what was going down at the Milwaukee Mile. And again, thousands of people show up for that, thousands of racing fans that don't want to see the Milwaukee Mile go another year, 2 years, 3 years without racing again.
Yeah.
And doing their part to making sure that these series look at this and say, okay, there's a home in West Dallas for racing, that we can do that. Milwaukee does have the ability to kind of absorb all this, because you think about what it can take in, but you can't compare downtown from the north side in Chicago. In 20 minutes you can find a hotel, you can find things to do, and you're in Tosa and you're in Brookfield. There's plenty of ways to work this. So it was a really, really, really good sports weekend. Again, in spite of the Brewers losing, it almost doesn't matter, right? We're celebrating the man.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that we're always talking about this is a Sunday fun day, that's exactly what took place last week. So we get in to some news that broke this week out of Green Bay. And it started the week with the fact that, we've got now the 4th highest paid on social media. And thank you, Jeff. And if you're raising a child, why would you not raise them to be a long snapper? Because the way the rules are set now, they can go untouched as long as they are still in what we'll call the snapping. I'd snap the ball. I wouldn't move. Like, the ump would have to come over and tap me on the shoulder, like, play's over, son. You can go to the sideline now. I would not move. You can't get touched. But we have now the 4th highest paid punter in the NFL. We got a linebacker from the San Diego Chargers, which I thought was a nice move. And then the news broke. And the news broke Thursday on Drew and KB. And this will be number 1 on the hit parade there, Mr. Pipe Bomb, because this is how I had to break the news of what was taking place.
The Cowboys have reached an agreement on a trade that will send Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. He will sign a 4-year, $188 million extension with Green Bay that includes $136 million guaranteed. Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer.
And now you can find it on social media, okay? They posted it. If you were number 2, we'll talk some Brewer baseball. But if you see the reaction Hunter has while Drew and KB are doing their normals, I'll say, talking in this case some Brewer baseball, but to look at his face, to then what the setup is here. He looked at the computer, he looked at the TV, he looked at his phone, he was double and triple checking what was that came across his face is spectacular before chiming in and breaking the news.
Scooby-Doo, I think he meant Zoinks. I just hear it. So I have not seen that video you're talking about, so I'm gonna have to check that out. But just hearing Hunter's voice, Hunter is so measured. He's so analytic. He does everything so well.
Yeah.
I mean, just the intelligence that just oozes out of the man and then to hear that excitement come from his voice was incredible. And then the shock,
right?
Drew and KB, like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking? But there was no doubting because it's Hunter,
right? He's
double checking, triple checking, do everything he has to do as a responsible media person does. And wow, what I think everybody in Wisconsin had that. Wait, what?
The last time I had Dame to the Bucks, where I remember going across the hallway and finding the professor and saying, "Hey, you ain't gonna believe this," and you went, "Come on, what social media outlet put that one out there?" And at that point, I happened to have a television monitor going, and it was breaking news on Channel 12 here locally. That was the same feeling I had. Like, at first, it's the come on, like, we've been hearing this banter for how long, but then, like you said, when it's Hunter and knowing what Hunter does as far as double and triple checking, I'm like, oh my goodness. So that's how Thursday kind of got up and rolling at about 4:15. I think it was our time that the news broke. And then as the night went on, we started to hear from Matt LaFleur. Later, we hear from Micah Parsons. First, let's hear from Matt LaFleur on what he had to say in the midst of his press conference regarding the trade.
My first exposure to Micah was at the Pro Bowl. Was that the 21 season? And I was really impressed by the guy. Matter of fact, we were joking about it. Like, the majority of the players in the Pro Bowl, I think it's well known. That's why there's not a Pro Bowl game anymore. The majority of the guys looked like they were going through the motions, except for one guy. He was trying to wreck shop out there, and he was trying to win. And that's one thing, just having relationships with other coaches throughout the league that have worked with him. They'll tell you this guy's the ultimate competitor. And if you're, whatever it is you're playing, he's going to want to win. And I don't think he's very apologetic about that, which is so exciting as a coach, to get a guy like that. And I think that just elevates everybody around him.
So that's Matt LaFleur. And I think one of the things that has occurred, Pipe Bomb, in the midst of this trade is it's kind of re-energized the fan base. And I've heard more than one person say it on the national media as they were contacting everybody locally about the trade and the excitement and what does it mean for the Packers, that I've heard more than one person say going into this season, it was a bit meh. Like the excitement level for NFL football is always there, but it's usually more at a fever pitch once we hit Labor Day. Once we hit that 1 week point of like, okay, in 7 days, all of the preseason stuff, the camp stuff, all of the NFL draft, all of that kind of gets pushed by the wayside because now we got to lace them up and play for real. The energy, I'll say, within this state, and I've got no data to prove it, is just more cursory and watching things take place, was, yeah, okay, football's getting ready to start, but it wasn't that big, let's go kind of mentality, and that all changed Thursday at around 4:15.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you just said there. You know, it's crazy listening to Frenchie right there talk about it. I wish he had the same kind of excitement as Hunter did.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Hunter's clip was 100 times more interesting. But you know, it was funny because I talked when the baseball trade deadline passed and the Brewers basically did no moves. You know, obviously the Savali Vaughn thing, but that happened way before. And I said, okay, well, that's the last time I get excited for the baseball trade deadline. I'm going to go into this like the Packers every year. Everybody gets cut. You know, high profile veterans will get cut at the end of camp. You just know that they're not coming here. There'll be guys on the trade market. You know they're not coming here. Well, it might be a little bit different now after this move. They're just absolutely amazing. But yeah, I do feel the excitement level is through the roof now where it wasn't just a few short days ago.
Yeah, isn't there a thing though where this has happened 4 days ago now, and we have the time to just kind of rationally review this and look at it, and then you think of it for a minute, and you realize that there's going to be a number one, NFL rusher on our team, and you think about it and you try to rationalize, and then it always ends up the same. Oh my God, we got Michael Parsons. It's one of those things, right? It's just, and I think what you guys are talking about, we had our team, and the belle of the ball was going to be Matthew Golden, and we were excited for that, and we were hoping that Jordan Love was going to be healthy. And Pipe Bomb, to your point, prior to that, we're not getting anybody. It's just not a thing. And so something like this happens. It's really that asteroid strike in Green Bay, and it's just amazing. And I'm still not over the excitement of seeing that man run out of a tunnel with a G on his helmet.
Absolutely, and the beauty of it is, and for me, I can always, in essence, tell. I don't know if I'm overplaying this whatsoever, but when you hear people will say from the other side, from, let's say, the Dallas point of view, now suddenly say, oh, well, he wasn't a great locker room guy. You never heard that before until once he accepted the trade. Skip Bayless on social media losing his mind about, oh, he's not TJ Watt. He's not this, he's not that. But I guarantee you were singing his praises a couple of weeks ago, telling Jerry Jones to pay him. When you hear things like that, or you hear a Michael Irvin who just looks like he's in mourning.
I could listen to that over.
He just looks like he's in mourning. Then I know what we have, because you've heard both ends of the spectrum from the other side, so to speak, the downplaying, let's throw some negativity that way, or the Michael Irvin who just looks like he lost a family member from that football team. Now I know what we have in Green Bay is going to be special.
But even better, guys, and I know what we have based on the way that Jerry Jones is spinning in that debacle of a news conference, which I think,
kept calling him Michael.
Yeah, I think if anybody there in the Dallas Cowboy communications department, it just had to be hiding under their desks. And that was 5 minutes within the start of that news conference. It was just so crazy.
Jerry Jones has become Al Davis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I look back, Al Davis has such a legacy within the NFL with the merger, and then the stuff that he would push against to the late Pete Rozelle and what that meant as far as the growth of football. But then at the latter part of his tenure of ownership, it was just win, baby, and it was all kinds of moves that didn't really make sense, and it just kind of it didn't wipe out his legacy, but it diminished it slightly. Jerry Jones is following that same path, where now I'm going to try and rationalize my stupidity in essence. And because he's the owner and because he carries so much weight within that organization, nobody is pushing back. Hence the reason maybe why he puts his son as, president of the organization, just a step below him, because his son's not going to push back. His son's enjoying all the wealth and benefits that dad has provided. And so now I'm surrounded by yes men, and I'm making dumb moves, and I'm a wealthy billionaire who made his mark in business, not in football. I am not a scout. I am not a general manager, even though because I write the checks, I claim I am. And it's being proven. There was an article, I don't know if it was The Athletic, and I apologize, I should give this proper credit, but somebody went through and said, had you paid Micah, had you paid CeeDee Lamb, had you paid Dak Prescott like at the beginning of the negotiation or worked through the negotiation much quicker than you did, you would have saved over time, like almost $100-some million. It came to 99 and change because you waited so long and played these games, and were loving the fact that you could go on Dallas Sport Talk Radio and just riff whatever it is you wanted to riff instead of taking care of business. He is not a general manager, thankfully, because we are now the beneficiaries of his lack of knowledge when it comes to that particular position.
You look at what Dallas has, and I think it is time to just step back and have some appreciation for Brian Gutekunst.
Yes.
Look, the man's not perfect. He's not saying that he is. And he basically said that in his press conference the day before the announcement of Parsons, which, by the way, props to him for his poker face. There had to be a part of him standing up there. Oh, you just wait. You just wait, but really well done. But then on the other side of this coin is what they have in Dallas. And again, there was an argument a while ago. There was some kind of prognosticator putting out there that the Green Bay Packers make too big of a deal that they're community owned. Well, then let's compare it with Dallas. I will take community owned. I will take the idea that you have an organization that says, look, 70, thank you so much, but it's time to retire. It's time to get fresh blood. It's this idea that you are not the team. You're the flag bearer for the team. My job is to make you as good as we can make you until it's time for me to go. Jerry Jones is the team. That's it. And so now we have this organization in Green Bay that, again, iconic, community owned, and you've got this easy transition into new leadership. And what do you see here? Something completely unexpected, and it's been wonderful.
But the thing, Pipe Bomb, that Dan just talked about, the transition of leadership and this idea that from those who are not within the fine boundaries of our beloved Cheesehead State is that every time a decision needs to be made, somehow 30 people walk into a boardroom and have to argue and come to some sort of agreement. Some parliamentary procedure has to be done in order to figure out, can we trade? No. We went from Mark Murphy now to Ed Policy. They are in charge. The way that system was developed 30 years ago was to put a president in position to make the decisions much like an owner would. And the position is set so that when something of this nature happens, he goes, in this case, Policy goes to Gutekunst and said, I'm giving you the blessing, make it happen. And they go ahead and make it happen like anywhere else. It's just funny to me that if you don't reside within our boundaries or understand how the organization is actually set, that somehow it's just a free-for-all of board meetings each and every day and each and every week trying to figure out what the price of hot dogs are going to be.
I wish they would do that.
Jeff looked at me like, what you want me to say about that?
I wish they would do that. The whole board that the Packers have is just a rubber stamp. And so, yes, Mark Murphy was the owner. Now it's Ed Policy until his term runs out, and then it'll be somebody else. I don't want to get into the whole community-owned thing because I think I do have a problem with the fact that we're community-owned, quote unquote. Yet we have the fifth highest ticket price in all of football. So, and Dallas and their billionaire owners, they're not in the top 5. So, yeah, there's some problems there. Jerry Jones is a perfect GM for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
No one in Packer Nation likes the Cowboys.
He's
we
my
all
favorite
hate
GM.
them. He's absolutely my favorite GM. And so I hope he lives forever. I think it's really easy to rag on him, but I'll tell you, man, if I was a billionaire and say I did own the Green Bay Packers, I'd be doing the same thing as Jerry. I know what's best. I'm going to sign this guy and this guy. It's hard to tell a rich guy that they don't know what they're doing.
Because they made money.
Yeah. And if you look back, and this happened back when David Stearns was the GM for the Brewers, there was a tipping moment, and I can't remember what it was because that was so many gummies ago. But there was a tipping moment where Stearns and Atanasio were kind of like on opposite sides. And Atanasio stepped back and let David Stearns sit there and win that one.
Yep.
Because there were rumors about Atanasio being a little bit too involved, a little bit of a quote-unquote meddling owner.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he let David Stearns take the reins, and you look at the success that Stearns had during his tenure here, now he's doing the same thing with Matt Arnold. I think that showed Mark Atanasio, hey, I'm pretty good at making money. I'm probably not as good as these guys at running the baseball team. Jerry Jones hasn't learned that, and thankfully he has not.
And we can backtrack that to Green Bay when they let Ron Wolf make all of the football decisions. And since then, since the success of Ron Wolf, hence we've seen now this protracted time period in which the Packers have been successful. Now we can all argue about how many Super Bowls they potentially should have won or been to, whatever the case may be, but at least we've been successful. Let's listen to Micah Parsons after arriving in Green Bay, what the thought process was in going ahead and okaying the trade.
At first it was like, obviously like anyone, I got kids, I got, a house, I got family that all moved down for me. And it's a change, right? And I had to sit down and talk to my family about this potential opportunity. And that's when, I got the chance to speak, with some other guys and faculty about what it could be like if I decided to come here. And, once I got that comfort zone and they said, and, I got to talk to Rashid a little bit, that's my guy from Penn State, came in together. This is like, it's like Penn State, like, it's like home. Like, this is like a brotherhood. Like, it's safe. You focus on ball and, we keep everything the right thing. It kind of gave me comfort, and it kind of gave me a better decision. Like, okay, this is the place where I feel like I can take my next step and continue to have a great legacy here.
The one thing I will say, and something we've said in the past, is that the Packers don't go out and sign free agents to grab headlines just because the national media or the fan base thinks that this individual would be the perfect fit to shore whatever up. We've seen it time and time again that they do their homework when it comes to bringing free agents in. And so when I listened to that one part where he said it's a lot like Penn State, I went, yep, it is, right? I mean, Penn State is small community, big on football. What's Green Bay? Small community, big on football. I think the Packers did their homework, did their due diligence, and because we went up against one of the wackiest GM/owners in the NFL right now, we get to reap the benefits of having somebody of Micah Parsons' stature wreak havoc from the defensive side of the football.
I think every now and again, I think every time Jerry Jones runs into a room, you should play the Benny Hill theme song behind him, and do that. But for me,
does his son slap him on the
head? For me, when I saw the highlights of the news conference with Micah Parsons and then heard it again, what really struck me was the difference between how Micah Parsons was just kind of authentic and genuine about what he felt, what he was going through.
Yeah.
And the last time that this community had a giant signing like this was Dame Lillard, who just looked stunned. just trying to find a way to say the right things. But you could tell by his body language, he had this kind of version of what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to Miami.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And doing that. It's exciting to see a guy that thought about it, talked to people about it, and said, okay, this is a good thing. I'm looking forward to it. A lot has been made of Micah Parsons, in terms of how he likes to live in North Texas, which is great, right? There's not a problem with that, but kind of lifestyle and who he hangs out with it. And it came back to just sitting down. It's like he had to talk to his family.
Yeah.
We have to talk about these things and recognizing, that Green Bay might be a good place for us. He's still going to live in North Texas. God bless you. Go for it. Right.
Mhm.
But the idea that he sat down and he's really just kind of embraced it and is excited about it. And again, I can't wait to see that that's our guy running. That's going to be awesome.
All right, one last thing, because I know we got to get to a break. Circle back a little bit. I find it intriguing that this did take place. I know Brian Gutekunst back in January was talking about we got to start thinking about the now and how much of that has been influenced by ed policy, that we might be in the midst of a little bit of change in direction as far as acquiring talent, especially when you now have a coach and a GM who have yet to get a contract extension. Ed Policy's come out and basically said, I don't believe in that lame duck year. So you're going to know by the middle end of this year whether or not those two are coming back, because according to policy, I'm not going to let them just have that last year. I don't believe in that lame duck year. We'll buy them out. We'll do whatever. I just wonder how much of Brian Gutekunst was influenced by what Ed Policy is doing, maybe a floor above him. I don't know how the administrative offices are set up in Green Bay, that I need to make that splash move. He's given me the okay. Let's go out and do it. Because again, we talk about $188 million, Dan. It seems like a ton of money right now. It will be a steal in 2 years,
2 years.
the way the monopoly money gets thrown around professional sports these days.
Yeah, we won't be talking about the money anymore in 2 years because, like you just said, once television contracts get renewed and somebody else is suddenly making more than Micah Parsons, and it's just get over the money thing. And honestly, it's just money. And I know it sounds crazy to say, but in the NFL circles and NBA circles, it's just play money. It's just what they do.
Right.
And so get past that. The bigger thing, the more exciting thing for me is we got an NFL Pro Bowl caliber player, 26 years old, going to be around for a while. And we got him for effectively 2 first-round draft picks, which a steal. An absolute steal. So yeah, and sorry to lose Kenny Clark, but that's one of those things where I look at, at Gutekunst and I look at Matt LaFleur and they sit down and they talk about it. Is there a way? Do we have the horses behind it to make it up? And pretty obviously they felt like they did.
Well, I know two things that happened this week on our way to break. One is I'm sure Miller Coors was sending semis down to North Dallas to help those people cope with what took place. And the Maverick ownership, I'm sure, sent champagne and flowers to the Cowboys for taking them off the you-know-what list with the fan base there. On the other side of the break, let's talk some Badger football as their season began Thursday night. We'll do it next. It's Wisconsin Sports Sunday here on The Game.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, it's Matt LePay, your friendly play-by-play voice. I know a good team when I see one, and I found a great one in Ridgetop Exteriors. Let's talk about your home for a minute. It's most likely your biggest investment and where you spend most of your time. So my question for you, is your home ready to shine this season? Whether it's roofing, siding, or windows, Ridgetop Exteriors is the name you can trust. For over 20 years, Ridgetop Exteriors has been Wisconsin's favorite for roofing, and they bring that same expertise to siding and windows. Imagine vibrant, low-maintenance siding and energy energy-efficient windows that brighten your home while cutting energy costs. Ridgetop Exteriors holds all expert-level installation credentials with leading manufacturers including Pella, James Hardie Fiber Cement Siding, and LP Smart Side Engineered Wood Siding. With thousands of 5-star reviews and a commitment to excellence, they're the clear choice for your home improvement project. Call Ridgetop Exteriors today, online at ridgetopexteriors.com, and consultations are always free. Ridgetop Exteriors, putting customers first every time.
Saving money now at Menards. Patriot Lighting outdoor motion sensing wall lights bring on-demand bright illumination, adding safety and security to your outdoor area. Choose from a variety of styles and functions like the 3-head motion sensor floodlight, which has a powerful 5,500 lumen brightness. Save big on all Patriot security lights. Also check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the end of summer sale at AutoZone. We're celebrating the end of long days and short nights with big deals for a short time, like car wash. Right now, you can save 20% on the Armor All Complete Car Wash Kit. Need new brakes? Duralast brake pads are free with the purchase of Duralast rotors. We've also got oil deals and more. We're ending the summer right with the end of summer sale at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
The Fox 6 weather experts are presented by AdventKnows.com.
Mostly sunny skies this Sunday with temperatures in the low 70s near the lake due to a light easterly wind with the mid 70s inland. We'll continue to cool into the low and mid 50s tonight with more sunshine to come on Labor Day on Monday. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. This Labor Day at Lowe's, shop member-only doorbuster deals for a limited time. Save $50 on an Ego string trimmer, now $169. Plus, get 50% off select Holland pavers, valid through 9/1 while supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms, subject to change.
Make 97.3 The Game your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Our favorite 4-letter word. Free. Free. Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
So you can pump it, then I move it fast so you can pump it. 2 balls and a bat, pump it, always ahead. Sliding into home base, trying to hit a home run. Swing, bada, 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 swing. Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come, come. Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come. Well, you gotta give me loving and you gotta give me some. You gotta give me loving and you gotta give me some. Come, baby, baby, come, come.
Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports Sunday here on The Game. As the professor scared the Dickens out of us, he did on a Sunday morning, but it was all good in the end. All right, as the Badgers got their season going on Thursday night with a 17-0 win over Miami of Ohio. It had the good, the bad, the ugly, and I think everywhere in between. I think the best way to sum it up is let Matt LePay sum it up. This was the final call of the game on Thursday night. It's courtesy of the Badger Radio Network and Learfield Sports.
Christian McKinney on the tackle, and that should be the game's final play. So obviously the big picture, concern about Billy Edwards, his health moving forward. Danny O'Neill doing some nice work coming in, and the Wisconsin defense outstanding. Obviously not a finished product, but some things to grab onto and be encouraged about moving forward for Luke Fickell in the Wisconsin football program.
No doubt about it. I think there's some encouraging things, and there's obviously coaches love being miserable. There's going to be a lot of things that they are going to have to continue to work on, and the big storyline other than the win tonight, how's Edwards' health going to be moving forward? That's going to be the big question.
The final score tonight: Wisconsin 17, Miami nothing.
We should have just went, yep, there's our Badger segment, because, of course, Matt LePay knows how to put it all, in a nutshell. Sorry about that. At the end of the game without even really have to think about it, just, observing the game. It was. We saw some great things from the defense, and the offense was a little, and Billy Edwards Jr., obviously, with the injury.
Yeah. It was, I'll tell you what, looking at that game, it was kind of this, it was so much a Wisconsin first home game. It was one of those things where really you're doing this again.
Yeah.
And it was such a slow start. And going through the game, you could see, for me, I saw a couple things. Number one, Billy Edwards Jr. was not overwhelmed by the moment. He was just playing football. And I thought he was giving a good account of himself. Definitely has the arm to play at this level.
Yep.
It was good to see what he was able to do after hearing about it so much. I thought that the unit of the game that would get the game ball was were the defensive backs, because I thought they were the guys that created so many sack opportunities and so many pressures. Just wasn't anybody open, watching that and seeing how those plays were developing. But there's more work to be done. Again, that I think we as fans are excited about the goose egg that was hung up on Miami, Ohio. But the reality is we were only up 3-0 halfway through the third quarter. And we had the benefit of one drive starting with an interference on the punt, an incredible quarterback rush by O'Neal, a great catch by the tight end, and ultimately a touchdown. And then the game kind of changed a little bit. But prior to that, I was starting to wonder what's going on?
Yeah, I know. And the thing that got us most in the midst of all of that was the fact that Billy Edwards Jr. goes down with a non-contact injury. We knew he had a bad wheel coming out of Maryland, and you were just keeping your fingers crossed that nothing would happen once again to our starting QB. And lo and behold, there in the first half, we got this, again, courtesy of Learfield and the Badger Radio Network.
The 44 of Miami's second down, and the handoff to the motion man, Tyrell Henry, trying to bend it back to his left, and Miami is all over it. Only a couple of yards there, and
it's the quarterback.
Billy Edwards is down, and he has just spiked his helmet.
It's never good when you hear Tausch go, ugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could just sense it, the fact that it was a non-contact injury that he went down. Now, the news coming out of Madison has been a bit better as the days have progressed, that the injury, though not as significant as maybe first anticipated. And I think, Dan, we got that sense in the second half when we saw Billy Edwards come back out onto the field in the sweats. And the fact that, as I pointed out a couple of times, like, he was jumping around, he was involved, he was, trying to motivate, encourage, do all of those things. It wasn't a guy like, unfortunately, we've seen the last couple of years standing with a pair of crutches in the back so nobody runs into him. It gave us optimism moving forward in the midst of watching that game.
Yeah, there is, for me, the hope that what I think is going to happen is that you'll see Billy Edwards Jr. as a starting quarterback when Wisconsin goes down to play Alabama.
Yeah.
That's what I think will happen. He'll sit next week, in my opinion, and then be hopefully ready to go for that game. And now, based on the scores from yesterday, when Alabama gets upset by Florida State, you can bet there's a little bit more urgency throughout the state to want to see Billy Edwards in there and playing football. No, not cutting against Danny O'Neal, but you could see that there was a gap between first string and second string. Danny O'Neal had some great plays. He really did.
Yeah.
But there were a couple passes where he's just, he just tighten up a little bit, where the nature of the game could have changed. But at the same time, he was one of the big reasons why Wisconsin was able to walk out with 17 points.
There was a mobility factor, Jeff, with Danny O'Neal as opposed to Billy Edwards Jr. And I give the coaching staff credit. It took a few series, but once they kind of got and flipped the rhythm, so to speak, of how they were calling plays for Danny as opposed to Billy, I think that's when suddenly you saw a little more traction out of this offense. Let's face it, going into a season, defenses always seemingly have the upper hand, and we saw it yesterday. We saw it yesterday in the LSU game. We saw it obviously in the Texas-Ohio State game. There were some blowouts yesterday. There were some teams that put some impressive numbers up on the board, but for the most part, you have a week or two before that offense really settles in. They were trying to establish that offense. The injury happens. Now you've got to pivot, move in a different direction. It took a few series, but I thought the Badgers did a good job of making the necessary changes to put Danny O'Neill in a good spot.
Yeah, they sure did. And you heard Luke Fickell talk after the game on how Edwards took 85% of the snaps leading up to it. So for him to sit there and show out how he did, talking about O'Neill here, that's mighty impressive. Basically, no practice. You know, you don't expect the dude to get injured, especially week one. He does. And all of a sudden, man, you're under fire. And I thought he performed really well. You know, you sit there, you look at how Arch Manning played for Texas yesterday. And he's the one with the huge contract, making all sorts of money, has the entire hype train there.
Yeah.
And he was terrible for 3/4 of football. And so that, you know, maybe because of watching stuff like that, I give little Danny here a pass. But I thought he played well. And this is the first time you ever see a non-contact knee injury and get good news after.
Yes.
So I couldn't believe it. I thought, his season's done because that's what happens with everybody when it's a non-contact knee injury. And the fact that he can come back in just a couple weeks' time. Yes, please.
Yeah. That's very well said. Because you're right. Most non-contact injuries are season ending, in some cases career ending. You just never know. But Dan, to your point, Danny O'Neill, much like Billy Edwards Jr., playing all of last year, coming to us via the transfer portal, the moment wasn't too big. Now, I don't want to jump on Braden Locke. He did the best he could for us, and he's doing a great job as a second-string quarterback now at Arizona. But Braden Locke, it took a hot minute to get him acclimated, I think, to being the starting quarterback. The fact that Danny O'Neill, again, started different conference, but started Division I football, though it's something to behold when you go from standing there with your baseball cap on and, as Pipe Bomb said, only taking a small percentage of the practice snaps to being thrust into the game, only leading 3-0, where the fan base was starting to get a little restless. It was good to see the way he responded in the manner that he did.
Well, I like what Luke Fickell said in the press conference after the game when they were able to get O'Neill in there, they basically wanted someone that thought he could push for the starting job, someone that just was not going to be comfortable kind of riding the bench and knowing the role. They wanted someone who thought who felt he was good enough to start and was going to push for the start. And I think that's the advantage we've had. Last season, we didn't have that, right? I think there was just an assumption that in terms of the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s, what your roles were. But now you've got a backup quarterback who is very likely going to be starting next week. I think probably already is. And looking at it and saying, no, I think I can play. I think I should be the guy. I think I should be the number one and pushing for that. And Fickell even noted that in terms of his body language, even after a couple mistakes, it was the same guy walking up to him, regardless if it was a mistake or a completion or some type of success. His confidence didn't waver, and that's the advantage that O'Neill's going to bring to this team.
The thing that surprised and enlightened some eyes, I guess, with regards to this new revamped offense. I mean, they put 353 yards. Okay, it's Miami of Ohio. But, I watched some other MAC teams create a little bit of havoc against Big Ten teams, i.e. Western Michigan and Michigan State. I mean, we love MAC football towards the end of the season because that's what you get on a Tuesday, Wednesday night in the games. Very similar to what you'll find in a Big Ten. So these are good football teams. But to put up 353 yards, 188 passing, 165 on the ground, that just warms my heart to see that we're back to running the football. And we, again, saw with Billy Edwards Jr. in there. I love the mix early on of what they were doing between the running and passing as far as schematically moving the ball forward. Now, it was early. There were some passes that I'm sure Billy Edwards Jr., looking back, wish he could get back because the timing wasn't there on some deep balls or on some crossing routes where he may have thrown too low, too high, or behind, whatever the case may be. But I like the play calling. I like the fact that there's some balance and we're not just running 4 wide with 2 guys going deep, 2 guys dragging over the middle and watching our quarterback run for his life.
I will honestly say I was a little disappointed in that first play of the game. I was really hoping they'd walk up and snap under center just to make a statement,
that's true. You
and
did
do
say that.
But yeah, I thought when we looked at Billy Edwards Jr., I thought, again, confidence and command were both there. I think he had a couple drops that limited the offense a little bit. I think that he is going to be the quarterback for this season before he runs out of eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Wisconsin's going to be in a good place. You look at those 353 yards of offense, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but what a quiet 353 yards, because they weren't able to put points. They weren't able to score end zone. They got there twice, right?
Yep.
And with 353 yards, you assume there's going to be more scoring than that. And so there was a lot of fits and starts in the first half before the offense could really feel like they knew what they were doing with their new quarterback. And at that point, you could also see that Miami of Ohio had just run out of juice. So it's time for Wisconsin.
Let's hope coming up this week they take the next step, get rid of some of those kinks, because after this weekend, or next weekend at this point of us talking, we take on Alabama down in Alabama. That's when the big boy schedule starts. So you got one more week at home to kind of tweak some things and get yourself ready for what is an extremely daunting schedule for our Wisconsin Badgers. We're headed to a break. On the other side of the break, for the first time ever on a Wisconsin Sports Sunday, it's the Money Train. We'll get to him next. It's a Wisconsin Sports Sunday here on The Game.
Step into American Place Casino, where the excitement never ends. Located in Waukegan, Illinois, just a short drive from Milwaukee. Over 900 slot machines, your favorite table games, 4 restaurants, live entertainment, and now our brand new poker room. Plus, we're proud to be the friendliest casino around, with service that sets us apart. Whether you're here to hit the jackpot, catch a game, or just have an unforgettable night out, American Place Casino has it all. American Place Casino. Closer than you think. Friendlier than you expect. Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling, and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537.
Labor Day savings are happening right now at the Home Depot. So what are you working on? Prep for fall with our wide selection of cordless power tools that make it easy to clear your lawn, starting at $79. And once the leaves are clear, keep your yard looking fresh with colorful mums that bloom all season long. Shop Labor Day savings now through September 3rd, only at the Home Depot. See select stores for details.
We want everyone to enjoy their Labor Day weekend, so please use a rideshare or a designated driver. A DUI will change your life. From your friends at iHeartRadio and Gruber Law. One call, that's all.
Brother man, you ever get the Sunday scaries?
Sunday scaries?
Yeah, you stay up half the night on Sunday because you're worried about the upcoming week?
I used to, but not anymore. Not now that I found Happy Place Hemp Delta 8 gummies. I take one about an hour before bedtime and I sleep like a baby. But I'm not the only one. One smart, good-looking listener texted us and said they started taking the gummies for their anxiety. Now they're more relaxed. They get a good night's sleep. No more tossing and turning.
And now listeners can go to happyplacehemp.com, use the promo code DrewKB, and get 25% off their order. Can't beat that with a stick.
Happyplacehemp.com, promo code DrewKB.
Jason, what are you singing? Working on a new jingle to promote Capital's $49 drain clearing. When your sink fills up with gunk, don't stress, don't whine. It's only $49. Don't take this the wrong way, man, but I'd stick to plumbing, heating, and cooling if I were you. That's fair, but people need to know that we clear clogs for only $49. Fine, but I would have rhymed gunk with junk. It's so obvious.
Call CapitalCares.com.
When was the last time you hopped out of bed without that knee or back screaming at you? Or walked down a flight of stairs without groaning step by step? Let me guess, this is in the back of your mind. Maybe it'll disappear. I'll just tough it out. But nothing changes. It's finally time to do something about it. Hey, it's Billy Schmidt. It's time to call and schedule that free consultation with Dr. Ashley Caravelli and the medical pros at QC Kinetics. There are thousands of patients who will tell you they wish they would have done it sooner. They turned around their lives with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments that work with your body to help restore and repair damaged joint tissue. These are natural cellular therapies. No scalpels, no pills, just long-term relief without the dreaded recovery. Bring your x-rays and MRIs to QC Kinetics for a free, no-pressure chat and thorough evaluation to see if you're a good candidate. Grab your phone, call QC Kinetics right now, and schedule your free consultation. It's 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's almost over, but the heat is pressing on. If you've got battery trouble, stop by AutoZone for free battery testing. It may just need a charge, and we'll do that for free too. If you do need a battery, we've got options starting at just $89.99, and we'll recycle your old battery for free. Now that's a strong start. Don't miss the end of summer sale, now at AutoZone until September 22nd.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Save big during Labor Day at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, buy more to get up to an additional 20% off. Shop even more savings with 3 Stay Green 1 cubic foot vegetable and flower garden soil bags for $10. This Labor Day, take care of your home for less at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Need better sleep? This Labor Day weekend, upgrade to premium sleep at Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Let their sleep experts match you with the perfect bed and get the rest you deserve. They make sleep easy.
All right, place your bets, place your bets.
Play the music. There it is. All right, welcome back in. It's a Wisconsin Sports Sunday. If you follow us on the College Sports Show, you know what that music means. It means the Money Train now joins us on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line because we've got some football games, that being college football games, taking place today. And I thought, let's get a head start. You know, last year it paid for the bathroom remodel. Time to get that kitchen going. Time to get that kitchen going.
Trust him.
I trust the Money Train. TA, how you doing this morning, my friend?
I am doing wonderful. It's so nice to hear your guys' voices again. It seemed like it was too long of a summer.
It was too long of a summer, but now we're back at it. So with the picks today, I'm going to let you go. Start us off.
All right. Well, we got 2 games today. We got Virginia Tech and South Carolina. South Carolina, the line has been trending down, and they're at home. Given 6.5, I'd take them. Lay the 6.5 with South Carolina.
All right. Minus 6.5 with the Gamecocks. Number 2.
Okay. We both have a friend that lives in Caledonia that he's probably listening right now in the Great North Woods.
Yeah. Ballard Lake, I believe, is where I got the text from.
Correct. And Notre Dame is taking on Miami. You know, everyone's the convicts versus the Catholics, you know. And, the line has been staying steady at 2.5. The over-under is 50. I am going to take Miami at home. I think they're going to do what, let's say, Florida State did to Alabama yesterday.
Whoa.
They're just going to roll right over Notre Dame.
All right, so we're going to take South Carolina in Miami. Is there an over-under you might want to throw into the mix? Because we usually go for at least 3 picks, right?
Yeah. I don't really like the over. So if I was trending, I would definitely go under on that Miami game.
Okay.
You know, to me, it's going to remind me a little bit of Texas, Ohio State game yesterday, which, thank God, if anybody needed a nap, that was a good time to do it.
It was not the most exciting affair until the fourth quarter.
Correct. And so I would trend to the under on that Miami at 50.5.
All right. So once again, South Carolina, Miami, and we're trending towards the under in that Miami Notre Dame game. The Money Train joins us each and every week on the College Sports Show, but we got a little taste of it here on Wisconsin Sports Sunday. Thanks for go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know there's a game tomorrow too.
Well, you know what? You know what's going to happen tomorrow? Since we're filling in for Drew and KB, we're going to give you a call, and you can make that pick then.
I would love that.
All right, there we go. That's the Money Train joining us on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. Here's a little tidbit since we're making picks, and I was talking to Pipe Bomb about this before we got on the air. If you took the Lee Corso parlay yesterday, which was any team he coached or played for, you went 6-0 on a 15-1 shot. So anybody affiliated with Lee Corso yesterday, their college team won, and if you parlayed it on a 15-1 shot, you went 6-0, and you were a lot further along on that kitchen remodel, I'll tell you that.
I just know I'm looking through the window and I'm seeing Pipe Bomb smile because he picked a Notre Dame loss.
Oh yeah, you gotta love that. I loved all the facts and figures of Corso's picks. Like
yes,
USC was undefeated when Corso picked them. Like they had all that stuff broken down. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, they did such a good job. We'll talk about that in hour number 2 as we recap the college football landscape from yesterday as we get now to the top of the hour. When we return, Hunter Baumgart's going to join us as we talk some Brewer baseball. We'll do it next. It's a Wisconsin Sports Sunday here on The Game.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed. From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Law and Order Criminal Justice System is back. In Season 2, we're turning our focus to a threat that hides in plain sight.
There's been a bombing at the TWA terminal, just a chaotic scene.
That's harder to predict and even harder to stop.
That's why terrorism works. It doesn't care who you are.
Open your free iHeart Radio app, search Law and Order Criminal Justice System, and start listening now.
An unsuspecting driver at a Milwaukee barbershop.
I got an apprentice here shadowing me. I'm put this hot towel on, man, for a good 3 minutes, all right?
The apprentice is Donald Driver.
So when you come here, you drive?
Yes.
Your car got seatbelts?
Yeah.
You wear them?
No.
Okay, but why not?
I don't want to.
But do you know you can get a ticket for that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a ticket. Bet you wish you buckle up now.
Oh, my God. Donald Driver can't always be there to remind you.
Take it, click it. There we go. Click it or ticket.
And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Sponsored by Wisconsin DOT.
I'm defense attorney Tom Grieve. Charged with an OWI, it's not just a ticket. It's on your record permanently and can affect your career or your ability to travel. One mistake shouldn't ruin your life. Contact Grieve Law for your OWI defense. GrieveLaw.com.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. When dining out or shopping at the grocery store, ask for sustainable seafood. By choosing sustainable seafood, you can help reduce overfishing, bycatch, loss of top predators, illegal fishing, and other harmful environmental impacts. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Hey, sports fans! Game day is calling, but what about your dog? Skip the guilt and score a win for your pup at Canine Resorts of Brookfield. While you're cheering in the stands or on the couch, your dog's living it up with playtime, pampering, and plenty of tail-wagging fun. From daycare to overnight stays, Canine Resorts of Brookfield treats your four-legged MVP like a champion. Visit canineresorts.com/Brookfield to learn more, because your dog deserves a weekend victory too. Canine Resorts of Brookfield, a 5-star experience where love and fun is included.
Back to school is on the brain. That means new notebooks, pencils, new everything. And while the kids are getting ready to get book smart, it's time for you to save smart with Straight Talk Wireless. Switch now and get a free Moto G 2025 with 5G when you activate select plans. Now that's a smart call. Get Straight Talk covered by Verizon's 5G network. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Offer valid through 10/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Purchase of gold unlimited plan or higher required for offer. Must activate the plan in-store at Walmart. Cannot be combined with other offers.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's almost over, but the heat is pressing on. If you've got battery trouble, stop by AutoZone for free battery testing. It may just need a charge, and we'll do that for free too. If you do need a battery, we've got options starting at just $89.99, and we'll recycle your old battery for free. Now that's a strong start. Don't miss the end of summer sale. Now at AutoZone until September 22nd.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Make 97.3 The Game your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Every day live from Milwaukee and heard on the iHeart app by fans everywhere. This is WRNW-FM Milwaukee. 97.3 The Game. Welcome to Wisconsin Sports Sunday. If it's happening here, these guys are talking about it.
Who are you guys?
Don Wachilis.
That's right.
The Professor Dan Underberg.
What if circumstances magnified one of them in size and strength?
And the Polish pipe bomb, Jeff Orlowski.
How's the headbanging coming?
Welcome to Wisconsin Sports Sunday.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of Wisconsin Sports Sunday here on The Game. Don Wachilis along with the Professor Dan Underberg, the Polish pipe bomb, Jeff Orlowski. For the next 60 minutes as we get into some Brewer talk, Hunter Baumgart's going to join us here in just a sec. We'll get into some of the college football that took place yesterday, recap some of those games, and then the Book of Pipe Bomb, as always, will close it out. Don't forget, after the Brewers game today, it's the Brewers post-game show, the franchise. Tim Allen, year number 20, probably still recuperating after that party last week, will be on air to recap life as it happens out in Toronto. And before, Jeff, we get to Hunter, there were a couple of highlights I think worth listening to. This all courtesy of Brian Anderson and FanDuel. First was the fact that, hello, Jackson Churio, welcome back.
1-1 pitch, Churio, fly ball to right. Got some carry to it. Springer is back, and it is up and gone. Jackson Churio sends one out of here to put the Brewers ahead. 2-1 Milwaukee on Churio's 18th.
Get a chance to listen to that again. Listen to the guy in the background that screams out, "You got to be kidding me." Like just sheer frustration from a Blue Jays fan. But that wasn't enough. We go back to back. This time it's Yelich. Once again, Brian Anderson, courtesy of FanDuel.
Brewers up 2-1. A silencer here. Now Yelich goes deep into left center field. That's got a chance. It is gone. Back to back Jacks. 3-1 Brewers. Churio and Yelich, each to the opposite field.
So the Brewers take yesterday's game 4-1. Let's bring in our guy on the text and talk line.
NicoletLaw.com, talking text line.
Could you see I had the major brain fart there as I was talking there, Pipe Bomb?
Well, the hamster spinning on a wheel just tripped and fell over a little bit. It's okay. Happens to me all the time.
You got to replace the carrot once in a while. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Hunter Baumgart now joins us. Hunter, not much happening in your world this week, was there? I mean, the Brewers winning, a trade with Green Bay. Pretty calm, quiet week for Hunter Baumgart.
Yeah, nothing doing. I mean, it's just another, week of just smooth sailing. No, surprising news at all.
Just show up, push a couple of buttons, call it a day. Come on.
Exactly. No, that's the type of week I absolutely love. Those breaking news scenarios are so fun. Of course, Micah Parsons, the guy we're talking about, and then of course the press conferences. That was a really good really fun to watch and just see the you kind of get a good feel of the person that he is. So that was fun as well. Yeah, it's been a blast. And then how about the Brewers taking 2 from one of the top teams in the American League so far this weekend?
And not only taking 2, Hunter, it's great to see the offense kind of back in rhythm again, scoring 11 runs in the last 2 games. And the fact that they kind of went through that stage of San Francisco, Arizona, and the Cubs for that matter, where they struggled a little bit, but yet, as far as the Cubs go, couldn't figure out a way to capitalize and really gain any ground as they still sit 6.5 back.
Well, that's the thing too. Like when you look at what the Cubs did this week, they had a golden opportunity with a couple of the losses the Brewers had to the Diamondbacks to gain 2 games there and be 4.5 back, but they couldn't do it. The Giants end up sweeping them. Now the Cubs have taken the first 2 against the Rockies, which I think anybody could do at this point. So I think that's not incredibly surprising. Going into the weekend, I'm kind of like, if the Rockies can somehow win a game this weekend, it's going to be just the time to party because it's so hard. It's hard for them to do it. And the Cubs are a good baseball team, obviously, and that's why they're competing for a wild card spot and somewhat the division still. But yeah, but then you look at what the Brewers have done and taken 2 out of 3 so far with the Blue Jays and have a chance at a sweep today. That's the cool part. When you look at what they've, the last couple of weeks have been a little up and down, obviously, since that winning streak. And were they going to regress a little bit at some point? Absolutely. And this 19 games and 18-day stretch, everybody's heard it a million times. That's obviously taken a toll. But this, getting Jackson Chourio back in the lineup, you talk about the offense the last couple of days. I think that might be the biggest boost that we see the rest of this season. Obviously, Vaughn gave them a big boost in July, but I think this is going to be, this is a guy who obviously had a great second half of the season last year. He has that experience now under his belt, having gone down the stretch in a major league season, and he's refreshed. I mean, yes, he had an injury and he had to rehab it and all that, but he's got fresher legs than probably a lot of those guys who have been playing as much as they have over the last month. So, and you obviously saw it yesterday. One home run that should have been, a robbery by the Blue Jays, with robbery in center field, and then you had a double, and then you had a home run late. I mean, you think back to his last at bat before he got hurt, it was a triple. So he's close to he's getting close to a cycle in his last couple of games if you go back a month. So that's going to be a huge boost for this offense, and maybe even more than we had anticipated, I think.
Yeah, and welcome back, Jackson. That one heck of a way to make a statement there, but holy pitching, Batman. You sit there and you look in the first 2 games of this World Series preview, the beloved against the Blue Jays. You had Freddie Peralta going 6 innings, all sorts of pitch count problems yet again, but only allowing 1 hit, no runs. And then yesterday, the Judas Priester. And, he gave up some hits, but only allowed an unearned run, I believe. Just absolute dominance on the mound for the Brewers yet again, Hunter.
For sure. I mean, Freddie Peralta has a 0.32 ERA in August. He's just been dynamite and the top of the line guy you want. Like you said, the pitch count for him is his bugaboo. And will it ever be solved? Not sure. We're going to have to kind of wait and see on that one. I hope so. That is kind of the last hurdle he has to be that true ace in the league. However, he's the ace of this team. He's been the most consistent this year, 16-5. I mean, as much as people want to throw records out for pitchers at this point, you have to at least pay attention to one that's as lopsided as that is. They're winning a lot of baseball games when Freddie's on the mound, and Quinn Priester the same way. I think they've won, a bunch of consecutive, when he's pitched in games. I think, they've won their last 15 or 16 when he's been on the mound. Obviously, he's won his last 10 decisions. Yesterday, he didn't get the win. Ashby ended up getting that because of the late heroics. But yeah, those 2 guys are pitching about probably as good as anybody on the mound. And then it's like, oh yeah, then you have Brandon Woodruff pitching today in the series finale. And it goes back to this rotation and how this team is set up so well. Because you have 5 pitchers that are going to give you a chance to win every time out. And if one has that last turn in the rotation, Miz, Woody, Quintana, all 3 having so outings, like that has not happened very often all consecutively and will not happen very often consecutively. So that's what, gives you hope that this team, even if they lose a game or 2, they'll get right back on track because of the pitchers they have in that staff.
Well, you kind of glossed over his name there, but you did mention him. One of the unsung heroes in my eyes so far this season on the pitching staff is Aaron Ashby. Like his stuff is absolutely electric. The ball is dancing. He's got great movement on all his pitches. Throw some sunshine on Aaron Ashby, if you would.
We'll make it a sunsplash day for Ash. I think so. Absolutely. I mean, shine that sun. I think so, because this guy has been, he's got around a 2 ERA. He's been so good. Just so consistently good. And I know he wants to be a starter, and he told us that in spring training, and that obviously is understandable. And will next year be the year? Possibly. I think he just has to start the year not on the injured list to kind of help that, and try to have that have that be more of a chance of having that become uh, to fruition. But I think he's done really good out of his role this year. He's done, he's coming in. He's been either long relief, he's been short relief. He can do. He's now obviously yesterday he kind of was in that leverage role. I think that you could see down the stretch, especially against. You have that left-handed arm that could come out of the bullpen. So I think he is going to be really a factor down the stretch, especially in leverage. I think they're going to continue to trust him more and more in leverage.
Okay, I was trying to see how I wanted to phrase this next question, if I wanted to potentially get Brewers fans mad and compare them to Chicago Bear fans or not. Because obviously everybody's favorite player on the Bears, if you're a Bears fan, is the backup quarterback. It seems like Abner Uribe is getting a hell of a lot of love and people talking about replacing McGill because he's had some struggles in the last couple and blew a couple saves, and everybody forgets how dominant Trevor McGill has been for the most part of this season. Obviously down with a injury or something right now, a little 15-day vacation. Have a good time, Trevor. But Abner Uribe stepped in the ninth inning and has done really, really well here lately, sitting at a 1.85 ERA on the season. Can you just tell everybody that as soon as McGill is back, he goes right back to the ninth inning in the closer spot?
As soon as Trevor McGill is back, he'll go right back to the ninth inning in the closer spot. Yes, absolutely he will. As good as Abner Uribe has been, yes, and I think your bullpen is the best when you have that, because Trevor McGill's an all-star closer. And so if you have a guy in Abner Uribe who can come in with an under 2 ERA for your eighth inning and Trevor in the ninth, sign me up every day of the week and twice on what is today, Sunday. So I think absolutely I would do that. And I think Abner Uribe leads the MLB in holds for a reason, because he's been so good in that eighth inning role. And I think it is going to be, you call it a break, call it an injury, whatever you want. I do think there's some sort of an injury there, but I think it is going to be beneficial for the Brewers down the stretch if Abner Uribe can kind of hold serve in that ninth inning role over these 2 weeks or so that he's out. To have a fresher arm come late September into October. And obviously, as McGill said, they want to nip this in the bud now. They don't want to wait. And, all of a sudden you're in mid to late September. And then all of a sudden you've got a injury problem that's creeping up because you didn't put it to rest in late August, early September. So they're doing that right now, which makes a ton of sense. Abner Uribe has all that. We've talked about it before. This guy has all the stuff of a closer. Like, he just has the makeup of a closer, and he obviously has the swagger as well. So it's been fun to see him kind of flourish so far in that role. Will there be a bump or two in the road, maybe over these 2 weeks? Maybe. But overall, you love to have a guy that can step in like that. And boy, has he done that.
Well, I'm curious about today's game. If Woody's on the mound, the way he has come back from his surgery has been nothing but incredible. But he has had, even last game that he pitched, he's had these issues of an incredible number of strikeouts, and then there's been the inning, or there's been the long ball. What do you think Woody needs to do to kind of get out of that kind of hole that he's in, or maybe it's that next hurdle that he needs to recover from, to avoid kind of the big inning, the big shot that goes deep?
Yeah, that has been just his bugaboo the last couple of times out, against the Cubs, against the Diamondbacks. He's had those outings, a couple of those before that. He was super consistent, where he kept that pitch count low, and that's the Woody we know and love, is the one that keeps that pitch count low, is able to get bob and weave out of trouble. Because he's a veteran and kind of knows how to do that. Jose Quintana a lot of the times can do that as well. Obviously, last time out was not his best, but otherwise, those guys, you kind of trust them that even if they get into a little trouble, they can get out. Unfortunately, there's just been a thing or two he's been out there that he's unfortunately given up those runs. So yeah, just absolutely, just be more consistent. Make sure to keep those walks low. He was really good about keeping, throwing strikes in those first couple of outings. And then it's kind of, it's been a little more shaky as of late. I think that's a key for him as well. But I also think he is going to be, I think he'll bounce back, and hopefully today's kind of the start of that, and into September it would be awesome because you get Woody pitching like he was in the first month when he was back compared to the last month. It's going to be better for this rotation, and I also think that he's going to pitch more like that because he can adjust, pretty well with the best of them. Obviously, because he's not pitching how he did before the injury. I mean, that's honestly been some of the most impressive stuff is that he's not the same pitcher as before, but he's been nearly as effective for most of these outings. And so that's, if there's anybody I trust in that rotation to make adjustments on the fly and be able to come back better, it's definitely Woody.
Hunter, talking about making adjustments, I think it was yesterday or the day before now that Brandon Lockridge went down to AAA Nashville when Jackson Churio was inserted back into the lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers. And Lockridge coming over from that trade at the deadline about a month or so ago. I know he brings speed, average bat, I would say. And one of the things that was touted was his defense. And yet there were a couple of times that it's hard to criticize somebody for hustle plays, but him diving after balls when he should have played it safe, in my opinion, and held the runner, let's say, to a single instead of a double, were costly at points. I'm hoping that they can rectify that a little bit, maybe calm it down a little bit, because once we get to that playoff push, having somebody like that with that speed to be able to insert, let's say, just even as a pinch runner, I think is a big asset for this Milwaukee Brewer team. But there were just times in the midst of all that hustle where I thought he was more of a liability.
Totally. And I think, he's kind of, if you can somehow get him back as kind of that Quentin Berry role, when he was when he was playing for the team, and he was stealing bases and kind of that pinch runner at any time, because like you said, you'd love that speed on the base paths. But yeah, is he as good as a defender as Blake Perkins? No. Is he as good as a defender as Sal Frelick? No. Is he, Christian Yelich and Churio, you can maybe put at maybe about the same, but I think obviously Yelich is, just having more baseball under his belt at the level that he is. I think his decision making is top notch, and obviously his arm still got it, like we saw earlier this week, which was awesome, gunning that guy down at the plate against the Diamondbacks. So I think all of that combined, and Blake Perkins is not going to be sent down. I mean, Pat Murphy said he's going to send himself down before he sends Blake Perkins down, so he wasn't going to be the odd man out here. And so Lockridge was the odd man out. But otherwise, I really liked what I saw from him. Was he, the best hitter in baseball? No. Was he a top tier? No. He's a bottom of the lineup probably guy, but he's a guy that'll give you, if you can clean up the defense, a little bit of that decision making, and also run on the base paths, absolutely he could be a factor. Now, is there room for him? That's a whole nother, question, just because of how, you got Reese coming back. You got, obviously Bowers is back now. Churio is back now. Ortiz coming back. So I don't know if there'll be room for him eventually. I think it's, a guy to have in the organization. You got something back for Nestor kind of deal. But I am eager to see how all of this roster, all these roster moves do shake out.
Well, the lineup is out for today's game, and no Sunday lineup for Mr. Murphy, Mr. Pocket Pancakes today. The lineup: Terang, Churio, Yelich, Contreras, Frelick, Vaughn, Collins, Durbin, and Monasterio. Hunter, when you take a look back and, 5 years down the road, or, when you're going through the Hunter encyclopedia here and looking back on this amazing season, one of my favorite moments so far is this extended look that we're getting of Andrew Monasterio, because he's been the ultimate teammate. He's been riding pine forever, barely gets any at bats, any chances. Maybe he was, getting some playing time once a week or so. But for him to sit there and come in once Ortiz went down and we get an extended look at him, man, he is hitting like crazy. And you're not really losing much on the defensive end as well. So talk a little bit about Monasterio, and then, what's like one of the kind of hidden, favorite moments for you so far of this season?
It's been hard. It's hard to fill in for a guy on the defensive side as good as Joey Ortiz is. but I'll tell you, Monasterio has done, just about as good as you can you want him to do. Have there been, an error here or there? Sure, but anybody's going to make those. And that some of these plays that he has made have just wowed you. And you didn't necessarily think that. You didn't necessarily expect that. Because he's been a bench player his whole career, and maybe he stays that, but he has lived up to his opportunity. He's taken advantage of his opportunity. And like you said, he is beloved in that clubhouse. Everybody him getting this opportunity. They want him to succeed. I think he feels that his confidence is clearly growing. And so with all that combined, he absolutely has been a bright spot for this team, and a bright spot in this, as Tim Allen says, special seasons are made of special stories. And so that was definitely, I think Monasterio has been one of them. And it's cool to obviously see him, to do it on the offensive side too. I think about when you talk about something special in this season, and kind of to combine, Monasterio with that as well. Like, I think with Monasterio, when you look at what he did in that home run, late in that winning streak to get the 14, break the franchise record, that extra inning home run, that obviously, that is one of the top moments of the season. Just, you talk about a guy coming off the bench, absolutely beloved, and he puts the team on top, and number 14 gets the 14th win consecutively for the Brewers and breaks the franchise record. That's definitely, one of the top moments. And it's cool because those types of moments have happened with so many different players throughout this roster. And that's the cool part about this season, is so many different guys have contributed. Have there been ups and downs? Like, Collins may not be hitting as well as he did in July, or, Durbin has been up and down. He's been mostly up, but sometimes he went through a down streak in May, right? Some of these guys have had down times, but they've also contributed to huge moments throughout this season. At least one. You can go up and down the roster, and you feel like you could think about a moment for each of these guys so far. And there's still a month to play, so that's the cool part. And there's been so many of those moments so far.
Last one from me here, Hunter. Obviously, you got the best team in all of baseball, the beloved Milwaukee Brewers, going up against the best team in the American League. Does this finally close the door, National League, greater sign, American League, for all time?
Yeah, this series determines it. And
Yes.
I think since the Brewers won it, that's it. I think we can just close the book.
Yep.
Book closed. Yep, case closed. But it's just, yes. But also, how about this? The Brewers are 15-2 against other division winners in baseball, or division leaders in baseball this year. 15-2. Wow. So if you want to talk about a team that's beaten, the best teams in ball consistently, it's been the Brewers.
It's a good day when you get 4 ringy dingies from the pipe bomb in the midst of your interview. A big game coming up this afternoon. Brandon Woodruff, Max Scherzer. Again, the guys will have it here on the post-game show. Happy Labor Day, Hunter. Hope you enjoyed the day off tomorrow, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
All right, that's Hunter Baumgart joining us on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. We get to a break. On the other side of the break, let's get into some of the college football that took place yesterday. It's a Wisconsin Sports Sunday here on The Game.
9 to 5 ain't working. Why the hell do I work so hard? I can't worry about my problems. I can't take them when I'm gone. 1, here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's a dose of reality. Driving under the influence of prescription painkillers is just as illegal and just as deadly as driving drunk. In fact, there are nearly 2,000 drug-related crashes every year in Wisconsin. Help prevent drug driving, and let's achieve 0 preventable deaths on Wisconsin roadways. Driving on pills kills. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Departments of Health Services, Transportation, and Justice.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with a new way to enjoy our beautiful planet. Reduce your impact on the environment this fall by packing a waste-free lunch for school or work. Avoid foods with excessive packaging. Use reusable cutlery, napkins, cups, bags, and containers, and recycle or compost any waste when possible. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Back to school is on the brain. That means new notebooks, pencils, new everything. And while the kids are getting ready to get book smart, it's time for you to save smart with Straight Talk Wireless. Switch now and get a free Moto G 2025 with 5G when you activate select plans. Now that's a smart call. Get Straight Talk covered by Verizon's 5G network. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Offer valid through 10/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Purchase of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required for offer. Must activate the plan in-store at Walmart. Cannot be combined with other offers.
The Fox 6 weather experts are presented by AdventKnows.com.
Mostly sunny skies this Sunday, with temperatures in the low 70s near the lake due to a light easterly wind with the mid 70s inland. We'll continue to cool into the low and mid 50s tonight with more sunshine to come on Labor Day on Monday. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging and replacement, batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Make 97.3 The Game your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
The Packers kick off this season September 7th against the Lions.
Pressure, he's hit and sacked by Quay Walker.
Coverage begins with Doug Russell and the Potawatomi Sportsbook pregame show at 11 a.m. on your home for the Packers. 97.3 The Game.
Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
We call it Wagertainment.
All right, place your bets, place your bets.
VSiN every night at 6. Presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest on Fox Sports 920.
Welcome back in. It is a Wisconsin Sports Sunday here on The Game. Big day happening locally again as the Brewers looking to take down the Toronto Blue Jays in what is an incredible matchup. When you think of Scherzer and Woodruff going at it, this is the kind of stuff that, baseball heads would geek out if this were in the playoffs or the World Series. It's going to be a great matchup. We'll see if the Milwaukee Brewers can go for 3 in a row. Before we get into some college football from yesterday, Jeffrey, why don't you hit us up with some of the stuff we're seeing on the Talking Text line?
Oh, yeah, thousands of texts coming in. CJ, JB in the 920, Timmy in the Shaw, all the players checking in today. Perfect time to get our best hitter back in Jackson. We've got... let's go, Monasterio. I'll proudly wear the president of the fan club hat tonight. Lots of good stuff, man. All praising the Brewers, praising the Micah Parsons move. So we appreciate each and every one of you maniacs out there.
Absolutely awesome. Thanks for chiming in. College football up and running. Let's, before we recap some of the stuff from yesterday, look forward a little bit because the Division III stuff starts, and we'll be able to talk more about that next week, Saturday, 8 to 10 on The Game, as the Journey House College Sports Show with this team right here gets back up and running. And then we'll be back here next week, Sunday, for Wisconsin Sports Sunday. I don't think it's entrenched in stone yet, from 9 to 11, because then we're going to be kicking things off for Packer pregame as the season begins in earnest for them next week. But coming up on Thursday, Carroll plays Eau Claire. We've got some D3 matchups that I think are going to be interesting. Carroll, Eau Claire is a good one. That takes place again on Thursday evening. And then next week, Saturday, the one that I'm really looking at personally will be Platteville at Aurora of Illinois. 2 perennial favorites within each of their conferences going head to head to start the season off. basically reminiscent of what we saw yesterday with Ohio State and Texas. But to get a Platteville and Aurora game to kick your season off, talk about a measuring stick right off the bat to see where you stand. Yeah. That should be a real good game down in Aurora.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just the idea now that we're 1 week away from being full tilt in all college football and having that, and then just looking over the course of the next 2.5 months and just kind of sitting back and soaking all that in is going to be great. But yeah, just one of the things that I'm enjoying about college football a little bit more, a couple things. Number one, for all the NIL talk, for all the payment talk, for all the transfer talk, when this first week arrives, it's just college football.
Yes.
You're doing that. And I love the idea now that football has really kind of jumped in and starting to embrace playing big games right at the beginning of the season. And these aren't pseudo bowl games that was done maybe 10 years ago. These are universities coming in with a contract and making sure that they're getting a lot of attention. Yeah, but it's just drawing fans into college ball right off the bat. And I'm loving it.
And it's a direct byproduct of what we have now with the expanded playoff system, right? Because I saw it in a different fashion yesterday in that Texas-Ohio State game. We talked about this on Thursday night. We were watching the Badger game, and the fact that, now that you've got the expanded playoffs, you can have a Texas-Ohio State matchup. Texas obviously falls short, but it doesn't end their playoff hopes.
Right.
Where in years past, you wouldn't take that game because you don't know how it would then play out at the end of the year. Texas, they're going to learn from it. They're a good ball club. They'll bounce back. They'll be fine. They'll be in at least the conversation once we get to the end of the college football season. Also, what I noticed yesterday were coaches on both Ohio State and Texas that took opportunities or chances that you wouldn't take if we were back in that 14 playoff. There were a couple of times Sarkisian did it. There were a couple of times that Day did it with regards to going for it on fourth down. Doggone well, had we been simply a 4-team playoff system, that we would have punted.
Right.
We would have flipped field position.
Absolutely.
But now that the game doesn't have necessarily the same, heads up that, others would have, we go ahead. Let's go for it. It doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, you're seeing the better part of football right out the bat and understanding the importance of every game that college football still has in its regular season. Whereas when you look, and we've talked about this a lot, those first 2 to 3 games in the NFL, you're still trying to find your best football right away. And I'm not saying yesterday, for example, Ohio State and Texas was perfect football, far from it. But the idea that the NFL is going to give you now, when you 17 games and someday 18 games, you're going to have a little bit more give, a little bit more flexibility. But now what you see is again, that urgency in college football in those regular season games, looking to get into that expanded 12-team playoff where every game still counts. And so you're going to see those risks. You're going to see those different things. And that's what college football has over the NFL and that little thing called the kickoff.
Absolutely. So Ohio State, Texas yesterday, the marquee matchup, the game that was being hyped for the last month, if not longer. It was Ohio State, a 14-7 win. Texas looked disorientated almost, going through 3 quarters of football before they finally bounced back. And the problem that I have with the way the college system is set up right now with all of this NIL is that all of the preseason hype for Arch Manning, who didn't live up to the hype, is all connected now to a contract that's worth north of $6 million a year. And there's a part of me that feels bad because I don't think Arch Manning was driving the hype train. I think it's the university. I think it's others that drive the hype train. But then on the other hand, this is the byproduct when you're having and possessing a contract like you do. This is what takes place.
There's going to be consequence to it. And so when you don't play well and you're making that 7-figure deal, that attention is going to be all on you. You don't get to hide behind the sheen of amateurism anymore. And the kid that plays football, now people are looking at you as a professional and wanting you to respond as such. So yeah, I hear that. I do feel for Arch Manning a little bit, because I don't think he's the guy that's driving that train. But at the same time, this is what college football players that are in that stratosphere of making this money, they're not considering these things. That when you don't play well, that attention is 100% on your 18, 19, 20-year-old shoulders. And are you ready to absorb that weight?
I think in the case of Arch Manning, maybe a little bit better, just because
I
of the
agree.
family dynamic. But yet it's still, it becomes a bit heartbreaking. When you lose a game like that, you underperform, and now we're going to see whether or not he can bounce back. I mean, it's hard to really hammer somebody like that when it's game one. Watch a lot of quarterbacks yesterday struggle. It's game one.
Right.
Now, if you struggle game 2 and 3, all right. However, I do, to your point, and to what I was saying earlier, Jeffrey, when you're making $6 million a year, the criticism's going to come. And if you don't want the criticism, don't take the contract.
Yeah, this is the only good outcome of all this NIL mess that is upon us, is the fact that we can stop calling them student athletes and start calling them professionals. I remember it wasn't that many years ago where you weren't supposed to go down too hard on a college athlete because, they're just a student athlete. You can't make fun of them. You can't call out their terrible play because they're not getting paid. Well, they're getting paid and you suck. So now we can sit there and come out and say it. And yes, was he driving the hype train? No, probably not. But he sure reaped the benefits of it.
He did.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, now you gotta face the music, man. And is it worth the money? Well, after week 1, hell no. But we'll see how he bounces back. Texas still has an amazing team, and he will get better. It's hard for him not to. He had a good fourth quarter, but when your first 3 quarters are that bad, it's hard to win. But, you sit there and it was two of the top, 2 or 3 teams in the land yesterday. Neither one of them looked all that good.
And that's the other thing. I mean, we're basing these rankings off of paper, right? Coaches, reporters, they create these rankings, and that's what we get excited about. And we have yet to see, until yesterday, many of these teams take the field. And so when you see, oh my gosh, Texas sure didn't look like a number 1 team. Well, really, were they the number 1 team? We haven't seen them play. Yesterday's the first time we got to see them lace it up and get out onto the field. On paper, absolutely, they look like a number 1 team. But, the old adage, on paper, it's why we played a game. We can go right through cliche, the Hall of Fame of cliches to, explain that one. The one I want to get to later today on a podcast is to find me a good old-fashioned Alabama sport talk station and listen to how Kalen DeBoer is being just run through the ringer as Florida State just ran roughshod over the Crimson Tide yesterday. And the Crimson Tide, again, a team that was thought very highly of going into yesterday's matchup, didn't look that way at all. I mean, drop passes thrown by, like mistake after mistake after mistake. And Florida State, what do they always say? Speed kills, right? Florida State was just, the speed at which they played the game was oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where looking at these preseason rankings and trying to figure it out, all you see Florida State fight for the idea that they should be playing in the playoffs. Next season, they completely underperform. What version of Florida State are you getting when they walk in and play Alabama? Alabama is kind of that program right now that is just adopted into the top 10. And, when you lose your anchor, like when you lose Nick Saban, you are going to see some departure. You're going to see the program reseed a little bit. And I think you're seeing that a little bit now, where talent is looking in different directions. I can be getting paid in different ways from different people. Maybe Alabama isn't necessarily the target because, man, Alabama just played poorly yesterday. They did not look like the Alabama that we have all come to know.
Which scares me. Go ahead, Jeff.
One of the crazy stats I saw is that in Saban's 17 years as the head of Alabama, they lost 4 times to unranked opponents. DeBoer, in one season and one game, has lost 4 times to unranked opponents.
TikTok. TikTok.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And so then what happens over the next week and change? Because either Alabama is that bad, which I don't necessarily believe that's the case, but either Alabama's that bad or they're a team on a mission and, start heading to the pews now and say your prayers, because when the Badgers head down there, that could be a team on a mission, or conversely, it could be a team that's in complete disarray. Pipe Bomb, we saw a team yesterday in Boise State dropping to Southern Florida 34-7. You take an Ashton Genty, who graduated and was drafted and now playing for the Raiders, and you take a team like we see in Boise, how dependent I hate to call them a mid-major because they're not. I mean, if we're equating it to basketball, they're a little more than that, but let's face it, they're not SEC caliber and they're not upper echelon of the Big Ten. How dependent that team was last year on an Ashton Genty to keep them in the mix. Because yesterday, they look bad. I'll just say it that way. They look bad.
Yeah, it was a disgusting performance. And, like you said, for them to sit there and just be completely reliant on one guy. And it also makes you sad because we all saw Genty and what an amazing season he had last year and the year before. And now we're going to watch the Raiders just ruin him. And, because that's what they do. So, that kind of sucks too. He was such a dominating force for Boise State. And now all of a sudden you'll never hear from him again. But so it goes. So it goes, how the mighty fall. And that's the interesting thing about college football, man. It happens on a dime.
The bottom portion of the Big Ten yesterday and Friday, because we had a couple of games, they really struggled. It was not a good showing for the bottom half of the Big Ten. I mean, Minnesota needs a late one to get past Buffalo. Nebraska, a late interception. That's what gets them past Cincinnati. Wisconsin dominated, essentially.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a dominating performance. Absolutely. And then we get UCLA and Utah running roughshod over the Bruins. I mean, the difference in the Big Ten between the have and have-nots is certainly palatable because the upper half, the Oregons of the world, took care of business. And the latter half, boy, they sure struggled against opponents you didn't think they would be struggling against.
And don't forget about the karma game of Northwestern versus Tulane. Northwestern denied Tulane's opportunity to wear the jersey to in remembrance of Hurricane Katrina's anniversary from 20 years ago. And, if you really want to play, I don't know, head coaches sometimes, I don't know where their brains are. Let them wear the jersey. Who cares?
Absolutely.
Let them. That was bigger than football. And so to see Northwestern take it on the chin the way they did, 23-3 against the Green Wave, I was okay with that. That's just a silly way to kind of decide that your team is more important than a 20-year anniversary of this seminal American event, and they just let it go. Fine, you go ahead and get your butts kicked. I was fine with that.
The other one that I enjoyed, Pipe Bomb, again, staying within the Big Ten, and just mentioned it a moment ago, was that UCLA matchup against Utah, because it was Nico Maliava's debut with the Bruins after jumping ship from Tennessee. Remember when we talked about that last year where he wanted more money? Tennessee was like, we're good. Just go do what you got to do. Nico, in essence, went home because he's from the area. Debuts for UCLA yesterday, goes 11 of 22 for 136 yards. There were flashes in that game yesterday. Why was I awake late last night watching UCLA and Utah? But I was. There were flashes where you saw why he was so highly coveted, even when he went to Tennessee, especially what he could do with his legs as far as running ability. But then I look at that UCLA team, and that Bruin ball club has been a hot mess for some time right now, regardless if you bring Nico into the mix. I know they were all excited when Nico decided to transfer and go there, but it hasn't parlayed, even with UCLA raising all kinds of NIL funds to try to, like they do now, when we used to talk about the bag underneath the table, they just outright pay him. It just hasn't translated yet on the field. And I'll be honest, I hate to say it this way, but I was all in watching UCLA get thumped by Utah yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too. That's, there's certain things you love to see. And it's these new, quote unquote, new Big Ten teams get absolutely destroyed. Brings joy to my soul, that's for sure. Yeah, the thing is that, week one of college football is kind of like, the overreactions you hear after the first preseason game, or even week one in the NFL. Nothing is set in stone yet. There's no reason for everybody in Texas to be freaking out. They lost to, Ohio State.
Yeah, right.
It's not like they lost to Tulane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is overreaction Sunday here and all that. And, you understand it. Obviously, like you said, I would love to hear Alabama. I can't wait to hear how Feinbaum tries to spin this into, SEC. Yeah, so all that stuff. But there's no reason to overreact now. It's been one freaking game. Let it play out a little bit. We're not going to know what these teams are until probably week 4, week 5.
You're absolutely right, because we just kicked things off, and now we get how many months of just gloriousness of being able to watch college and professional football.
And with all the teams
weekends
in the playoffs now, does this knock Texas out of the playoffs? No.
Not. No.
So they're, okay, are they going to go in as the 1 seed? Probably not. Who knows? But they'll still have their chance to win a title if they can right the ship.
I want you to mark the tape for our college show. I'm going to give you a name, and he's from Utah, a true freshman, a kicker, Dylan Condis. Okay. When you listen to Kyle Willingham talk, especially playing in Utah, upper elevation, a little altitude, ball sails a little bit farther, the kid's got a leg. And he said yesterday in an interview, if the wind is right, if we're playing at home in that upper elevation with the leg that this kid has, don't be surprised if we don't go for it from 70 for a field goal. Like, this kid has got he's got lightning in a bottle when it comes to his right leg and kicking field goals. And to hear Willingham say, if we're at home, the wind is right, upper elevation from 70, we might give it a shot. So let's see if that translates, because we've seen it in the pros in the preseason. We got a 70-yarder from the Jaguars, and it's, preseason, it doesn't count, but still, I think we're trending in the direction of longer field goals because the guys have bigger legs and more accuracy with everything that gets developed. Go ahead, Jeff.
A little behind the scenes radio here. We have a rule on this show where you only have per season of shows here. You only have 3 mark the tapes. And Don, you just wasted one on a freaking kicker from Utah. Congratulations. Bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how that works out for you.
Ring the bell on that one. Let's go 5.
And with that, I'm just going to go to break because I don't know where else to take this thing. It's a Wisconsin Sports Sunday here on the game.
Out about that policy.
In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Here's a dose of reality. Driving under the influence of prescription painkillers is just as illegal and just as deadly as driving drunk. In fact, there are nearly 2,000 drug-related crashes every year in Wisconsin. Help prevent drug driving, and let's achieve 0 preventable deaths on Wisconsin roadways. Driving on pills kills. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Departments of Health Services, Transportation, and Justice.
This Labor Day, the Home Depot is here to help you prep for the season. So no matter what you're working on, you can get your backyard ready for all the fall festivities. Refresh your garden with savings on a wide selection of colorful mums. Liven up your outdoor space with vibrant string lights. And find the perfect grill for your backyard barbecues this season from our wide selection of grills under $300. Get your fall project started this Labor Day at the Home Depot.
You ever hear a deal so good you think, what's the catch?
Yes, when I got a free gym membership, and the catch was I still had to go.
Well, right now, Capital is offering great financing, no catch.
No selling a kidney?
Nope, just easy financing and honest service during Capital Credit Days. Now through October 31st, air conditioners start as low as $65 a month, furnaces only $59 a month, or a complete system only $117 a month.
Capital, where you choose cool or cozy with no catch financing.
Call CapitalCares.com.
A Giannis rookie card sold for $1.8 million at auction. Redefine Realty's winning real estate revolutionizing combo of MLS plus auction will achieve the highest sales price possible selling your home. Let yourself win. Real estate for winners. RedefineRealty.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's almost over, but the heat is pressing on. If you've got battery trouble, stop by AutoZone for free battery testing. It may just need a charge, and we'll do that for free too. If you do need a battery, we've got options starting at just $89.99, and we'll recycle your old battery for free. Now that's a strong start. Don't miss the end of summer sale, now at AutoZone until September 22nd.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Football is back.
And the season lives on iHeartRadio.
Whether it's fantasy advice
Or venting with your favorite host over that blown call.
iHeartRadio brings you all of it.
From the official NFL Podcast Network.
Welcome to NFL Daily.
To local stations that bring you the games live.
Touchdown.
This is 24/7 coverage of everything you love about football.
And it all starts now.
Just open the iHeartRadio app
And search NFL
to dive in.
This Labor Day at Lowe's, get up to 40% off select major appliances, plus get next day delivery on hundreds of appliances. Valid on eligible in-stock orders through 9/10/25. Selection varies by location. Order by 4 p.m. subject to product and driver availability. Fees based on purchase. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for more details.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Wisconsin. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
On this Labor Day weekend, welcome in one last time. It is a Wisconsin Sports Sunday. As a reminder, the three of us will be on air tomorrow. We're filling in for Drew and KB at 3 o'clock as we lead you into the Brewer post-game show. Brewers obviously taking on Toronto today. Great matchup, between Scherzer and Brandon Woodruff, and then they head to Philly. And following that game and following today's game, as always, it'll be the Pipe Bomb, the franchise, Tim Allen, Hunter. Everybody will be on hand to break things down. As we close up shop today, as we always do, Jeffrey, it's time for the Book of Pipe Bomb, my friend.
All right, Labor Day edition. To all you hardworking folks out there, I hope you're having a great holiday weekend, time with family, time with friends, or time just sitting at your favorite bar and watching sports. You guys deserve it. For all you freeloaders out there who don't work, yeah, time to look in the mirror and get to a job. You don't get the holiday. But to those of you who deserve it, absolutely, congratulations to you. And yet the last sportsgasm kind of weekend here You got the beginning of college football. Obviously, we're all excited for the NFL getting underway here in 4 short days. You got the U.S. Open. You got the Brewers' continued domination over all of baseball. So just a whole lot to be excited about here. I just hope everybody's having a great holiday. Again, all you hardworking folks out there, you deserve it. I tip my cap to you.
And especially those who are working this weekend to make
no
sure
doubt.
that we're happy on our Labor Day weekend. So a tip of the hat to you guys as well. This is a crazy time of the year when you stop and think about we've got all of the things that Jeff just threw in the mix. The Ryder Cup coming up.
That's
I mean,
right.
this is a fun time to be a sport fan.
Yeah, Southern 500.
Yeah.
So
Indy closes shop. That's the one thing Indy, I think, does very well, as much as, we have angst a little bit about they're not flowing every week, right? You got a race and then you're off 2 weeks. You got another race where they were in Milwaukee last week. They're in Nashville this week, but they close up shop by the time the NFL is up and running. Where NASCAR kind of extends things out, Indy knows to get out of Dodge, so to speak, by the time the NFL hits the road. And once the NFL goes, we know they become the king of the sporting landscape. And Indy's already wrapped things up and starting to prepare for next year, which I would say, based on the attendance last week, we should, even though I know next year we're under contract, we do have one more race in the books to come here to the Milwaukee Mile. My guess will be that we should be hearing about Indy extending that contract with State Fair Park in the coming weeks. All right, time for us to get up out of here on this Labor Day weekend. My thanks to you for joining us. Our thanks to Hunter Baumgard for giving us his knowledge on that Brewer Baseball Club in the beginning of this past hour. Don't forget, tomorrow, 3 to 5, we sit in for Drew and KB. So please join us then. For the Polish Pipe, I'm Jeff Orlowski. Professor Dan Underberg. I'm Don Wachillis. We're back in 5. And oh my gosh, now I got to do math. We'll see you Saturday on the College Sports Show. Have a good weekend.
Man, that was amazing. Even if you don't have a girlfriend, they just stole her from you.
Zabe and Butch in the morning.
Hey, join us on Tuesday. We'll be locked in for Lions Week. The NFL season is finally here. Will Micah Parsons be ready to start hunting Jared Goff? Plus, we'll recap week 1 of college football, including the big Ohio State versus Texas showdown at the Shoe.